Today in our class we will discuss about the risk management, and it will include the introduction to risk management paradigms and the risk strategy. So let's try to understand about what is the risk. As we all know that the general concept of the risk is that it's a potential problem that may or may not occur in the future. It is not about something goes wrong. So what goes wrong right now is not the risk. So what we mean about the risk is that is the potential problem, okay, what can be happen that may or may not occur in the future. So the possibility of suffering from loss in software development process is called a software risk. Loss can be anything, that is increase in the production cost, and then development of poor quality software, or not being able to complete the project on time. It is generally caused due to a lack of information or control or time in general. Okay. So now let's see the conceptual definition of the risk. That is, risk concern the future happening, right? What happening is not the risk. I repeat that. Concerned with the future happening. Risk involve change in mind, opinions, action, places, etc. Risk also involve the choice and the uncertainty that choice entails, right? And so now basically we can see that there are two types, two characteristics of the risk. That is, one can be the uncertainty, that is the risk may or may not happen, that is there are no 100% risk. Okay, those instead are called constraints, that is uncertainty. Whereas the loss, the risk become a reality and unwanted consequences or loss occur, then that these are the two main characteristics of risk. So remember once again that risk is not what goes wrong right now. It is about the what may or may not occur in the future. Okay, any potential problem that may or may not occur in the future. So there is a lot of questions then that we can ask while we are developing the project. That is, about this project. Okay, the risk. What can go wrong? What is likelihood? What will the damage be, and what can we do about it? Right. So many questions are there in order to know what in the future what will happen. It's all about the question. Okay, all about the risk that we are trying to find out, isn't it? So that let's think that we consider and we mind all this the risk in the consideration. Then while we are doing these things, there may be some possibility of having the negative impact of that risk also, isn't it? Say for example, it may diminish the quality of the product, or it may increase the cost, isn't it? While trying to control the risk, maybe then it may increase the cost, and unnecessarily it may delay the completion of the project also. So finally the project will goes to the crisis, or the project failure may happen due to what? Due to increase of the cost, or due to the delay of the time, right? Or due to the lack of the quality. Because whenever we talk about the quality, the project completion, successful project completion, it means that it should be, the project should be the quality project. Okay, should be quality project, should be able to deliver within the time, okay, within the budget, isn't it? So within the budget and within the time. So these other things that if we cannot fulfill all those things while we are bordering all this risk factor, then the project also may goes in failure. That is the possible negative impact of the risk. Okay, then why should we do this risk management? Definitely, if there is a possibility of something goes wrong in the future, then we would like to manage it in order to avoid all the unwanted the problems, isn't it? So we have to do the management. This is the why we need to do the risk management. But of course, let's see how we can answer it. So risk analysis and the management are actions that help a software team to understand and manage the uncertainty, right? Everything which is uncertainty has to be managed. So many problems can plague a software project regardless of the outcome. It is a really good idea to identify the risk, assess its probability of occurrence, and estimate its impact, all right, in advance. And also know that say these are some reason that why we need to do the risk management, and then what we will really do it while we are trying to do this management is that first of all the actions, okay, activities is identify the risk. Okay, in order to manage our risk, then we have to identify the risk. Without knowing what is that the risk, then then we may not be able to manage it, right? So the same thing here, reduce the impact of the risk. Of course, reduce the impact of the risk, reduce the probability or likelihood of risk, and risk monitoring. And then risk exposure also has to be calculated from the size, that is the loss size, into the probability of the loss. Okay, the loss size into probability of the loss, right? So there is a difference between the problem and the risk. So is not the question is that we think that all the problems are all the risk. Any problem is a risk. Okay, any problem is a risk. Okay, now let's say there may be lots of problem in our project. So problem is some event which has already occurred. Okay, but risk is something that is unpredictable. Okay, this is the main question the say which we have to always keep in mind, that whatever happen, anything goes wrong right now is the problem happening. Okay, this risk may become a problem when we are really on process. Okay, but we, the manager, the project manager, has to be able to identify it and manage all this the problem which may happen in the future. Okay, so there is nothing hard and fast that rule, or there is nothing, no surety, no uncertainty, that is the all the risk that you have identified will be 100% happen. So there may be lots of risk you identified, but all the risk may or may not happen. Out of 10 risks that you have identified, okay, we are saying that our risk has to be identified. This is the thing that we have to do it in order to manage our risk. So out of 10, and then identified, okay, at least say around maybe 6 comes up. All right, so remaining 4 doesn't come up. So that means that it may or may not happen. All right, if it is a risk. Okay, now the next question here is that risk management in the project planning. Do we really need this project, the risk management, and what is the relation between this risk management and project planning? When do we do the risk management? Okay, let's try to understand about this. The idea behind the risk management plan is to go ahead of any potential risk, both good and bad, it's a part of the project planning process that helps your team stay proactive rather than the reactive and the scrambling. Okay, we will now we are going to learn about this proactive and reactive. So only thing is that now it will make alert, right? This is a part of this project planning, and that will help your team stay proactive rather than the reactive scrambling. The project should be managed in such a way that the risk does not affect the project in a big way. Definitely, there's so many things that we already predicted. Okay, we already predicted that some the problem may arise in the future, isn't it? Some problems may arise in the future, so we should know that we should manage in such a way that it should not affect too much too much onto our project. It may happen, it may happen, may not happen. If it happen also, it should not affect so much. This is the way how we have to plan. Okay, while we are planning, we have to think about this. And then risk management is a methodology that helps the manager make best use of their available resources. By using various paradigms, principles, we can manage the risks. So let any risk comes up there, let any risk be there. Of course, risk is always been with us, so we should be able to manage it properly. Okay, now the next point is that risk management in the project management. Okay, we have learned about that risk management in the project planning. So how about the project management? Let's learn about this. Basically, project management deals in the following. So what are the project management include? First of all, the planning is a part of the project management, isn't it? Then organizing, okay, and directing and controlling, these are all the part of this project management, first of all. And how to manage the risk? Let's see. Determine the risk resource and categorize it. Determine the risk parameters. Establish a risk management strategy. Then identify the risk. Evaluate and prioritize the risk. There may be so many risks. Okay, the first one has to, which one is the most important, or that risky to the project that has to be solved badly. Okay, if you think that it will affect largely, then that has to come in the first priority to solve the problem, isn't it? So develop and implement the risk mitigation plan. So these are how that we have to manage the risks during the project management. All right, then let's see about the steps for risk management. First of all, identify the risk. Then after identifying all the possible risk, okay, then only we can analyze it. All the possible risk has to be identified first, then analyze. Okay, analyze each risk to estimate the probability that it will occur and the impact, that is the damage, okay, that will do if it does occur. See, that means no, we say that identify. Why identify this is as a risk? Okay, that may be a possible risk to the project. Let it be any project, okay, and then you see that why do we need to analyze again? Because we already identified it. We have to identify it And then why should we analyze? Yes, analyze has to be done, okay, to each risk, so that you can estimate the probability that it will occur, and the impact, especially the impact of there. So there should be definitely the impact of each risk, that is the damage that is caused by that risk, isn't it? That has to be analyzed. Then we rank the risk by probability and impact. That impact may be negligible, marginal, critical, and catastrophic. So these are the possible that rank of the seriousness, okay, the effect, okay, the effect, or you can say the impact of the risk into the our project. So maybe it's negligible, all right, it is good. But if it is critical, for example, then which one has to come up in priority first, right, in order to make that? So those critical part has to be done first, or those negligible one has to be done first, okay? If there is some risk that may cause catastrophic in that our project, so let it be happen, or shall we solve that first? Okay, in order to make all those things, and we have to give the rank of that identified that risk, okay? Then develop a contingency plan to manage those risks having high probability and high impact, right? So contingency is very important. What you have to develop is that, yes, of course, contingency has to be there. Otherwise, so if the present plan is everything goes wrong, our project some very effect is there, then there should be a contingency plan, okay? So these are the main steps for risk management. And now the paradigms, risk management paradigms, here we can see this. First of all, identified, okay, we have to identify the risk. Identified, what does it identify? Search for the risk before they create any major problem. That is what we have to do it. It's very good that we have to identify, we have to search actually. We have to search for all the possible that risk, and then analyze it, understand the nature, okay, the kind of the risk, and gather information about the risk, right? If you gather the information about the risk, then you can analyze it. So if you want to analyze it, definitely you have to gather information about all the risks that you have identified, then plan it. So convert them into actions and implement them. This is a real plan. And then track. So we need to monitor the necessary actions. And once we have done it, okay, I already planned, then is everything will be all right? No, if you don't do it, then nothing will happen, isn't it? So supposing you have converted in really you are doing also, then you need to have a monitoring, okay? The monitoring action has to be there. That is that track, okay? We have to do the tracking, and then control, that is correct the deviation and make any necessary amendments. So there may be some deviation caused by that your risk, isn't it? And in any activities while you are trying to monitor it, then what we have to do is that we have to correct any deviation and make any necessary amendments. Any changes is required, then we have to amend the changes against that deviations. Then communication, it's discuss about the emerging risk and the current risk and the plans to be undertaken. Okay, so you have to have another discussion about what is happening due to that risk. Okay, so these are the risk management paradigms, and there are 7 main principles of the risk management. Let's have a look briefly. The first one is to maintain a global perspective, that is, view software risk within the context of the system and the business problem that is intended to solve, right? Secondly, take a forward-looking view, that is, think about the risk that may arise in the future, establish contingency plan. And then next is that encourage open communication. Encourage all the stakeholders and the users to point out the risk at any time. Okay. Then next is that integrate risk management. So integrate the consideration of the risk into the software process. And then next principle is emphasize a continuous process of the risk management, that is, that modify here we are saying that emphasize a continuous process. It's very good principle. Emphasize a continuous process, that is, modified identified risk as more, okay, as more, and then becomes known, and add the new risk as better insight is achieved, right? So we have to we have to accept all the risk. If risk is really happen, may not happen also, if it really happen, then modify and identify risk as more becomes known, right? Then develop say shared product vision. A shared product is again another thing that's very important. Shared product is these days many things are on shared. We shared lots of things, so a shared vision by all the stakeholders facilitates and better risk identification and assessment. So see, our stakeholders, they know to whom we have to share it. Is it we all about the thing is that we said it, say in the number the encourage the principal communication. Also we say that in this principle, the stakeholders, we encourage all the stakeholders and the users to point out the risk at any time, isn't it? Because so that they know, our stakeholders also know that different risks from their end, isn't it? Not only from the developer side. So we should have a proper communication. So there may be some unseen, unknown the risk to the developers, and then the stakeholders, our stakeholders or our end users or any users, they also should be point out the risk at any time. If it is there, then they should communicate to us. Okay, this is a very important principle. So likewise here, we develop a shared product vision, that is, a shared vision by all the stakeholders facilitates better risk identification and assessment. So if we share all these things, then we can facilitate better risk identification, which is very important. If we do not identify the risk, then you cannot analyze, or you cannot assess, or you cannot even make any contingency plan, isn't it? Because we know that if there is any risk, then we always should have a contingency plan for that. So in order to have that, then we should identify and assess our risk. Okay, so finally, encourage the teamwork when managing risk. So pool the skills and experience of all the stakeholders when conducting the risk management activities. This is definitely a very much encouraging principle. That is, we have a lots of team, and there are many experts are there, many experienced people are there. So we have to okay, we have to utilize the skills and experience okay, of all the stakeholders, especially to to control the risk, okay, or to manage the risk. Then there are, say, types of the risk we have here. The software risk exists because that it is happening in the future, isn't it? So it's uncertain. It is uncertain, and there are many unknown or known things that cannot be incorporated in the project plan also. So software risk is basically classified into two types. That is, one is the internal risk and one is the external risk. Okay, internal risks that are within the control of the project manager. Who control the project? Who manage the project? Who manage the risk? That is project manager, isn't it? So it is within the project manager, and which is beyond the project manager, that is external risk. Okay, these are the two main types of the risk. And then see, we have a risk categorization. We have a approach. There are different approaches are there. So let's see the first approach, that is project risk. Okay, according to this categorization one, our risk is that first risk is that project risk. Okay, so what are they? They threaten the project plan, and if they becomes real, it is likely that the project schedule will lift and that cost will increase. Okay, so as know that as long as delaying the time effort more, then definitely the cost will increase. So this project risk really threaten the project plans and the schedule. And then technical risk is they threaten the quality and timelines. Okay, the name suggests a technical risk. It threatens the quality and timelines of the software to be produced. And if they become real, why we are saying that if they become real because risks are unseen to us. It is like any problem, okay, that may or may not happen. So if it happen, then okay, implementation may become difficult or impossible. Okay, if any technical risk is there. Alright, so for example, say you are some of the resources like are not available on time, okay, or your program has changed in between, for example, isn't it? And so that way, see, and then any those kind of things happen, then the things that quality, there is a chance of that not getting the quality of the software, or maybe we are delaying the times, isn't it? So that way it threatens, the technical risk threatens on that. So you can make it out those possibilities. And then the same thing is that it also, once it happens, the quality is not getting and we are delaying, and then implementation maybe really find very difficult, or sometimes it may not possible also. So that means the problem is that what will happen, your project will go straight to the project failure, isn't it? So in this categorization, we have to think that technical risk is very, very important. And then next is business risk. So it threatens the viability of the software to be built. If they become real, then what will happen? They jeopardize the project or the product. Okay, really very not that very unseen and not very high risk here. And subcategories of the business is there, that is maybe whenever we talk about the business, it may be a market risk, right? Building an excellent product or the system that no one really wants. Okay, that means market risk. I am producing so many products, but if nobody likes it, then what is the use? That is a market risk, isn't it? Okay, then strategic risk, that is building a product that no longer fits into the overall business strategy for the company. And sales risk also there, that is building a product that the sales force does not understand. Okay, sales force, we have a salesman, many salesmen there, right? Sales force does not understand how to sell, then that will be really difficult. Say for example, say selling is an example, selling the medicinal that items. Not anyone can sell it. No, only especially the that I'm talking about, say where do we get the medicine? In the pharmacies, isn't it? So those medicines are mainly sold by who? That is especially we have like suppose anyone cannot go or work for the sale as a salesman, isn't it? The person should know about that, at least about that items, isn't it? So likewise, if you are building some product and that no salesman or the sales force, they cannot really they don't know how to sell it, isn't it? Then another possibility is management risk, losing the support of the senior management due to a change in focus or a change in the people. This is also very much possible, because in a business so many the thing is that we have a senior superiors are there. If any superiors there, for example, in an organization, director change, okay, so another policy, a prime minister change, another policy, isn't it? So that is a management risk is there. Then finally the budget risk is also there, that is losing the budgetary or the personal commitment. Okay, so these are the risk categories first approach. Okay, now let's go for the second approach, that is one is say non-risk. Okay, risk is, we say that risks are unknown, or risk also may be non-risk, that may happen, may or may not happen. Again, once again, any risk is may or may not happen, it will be already there. Okay, though it is known or there it is not known, unknown also. So non-risk is there those risks that can be uncovered after the careful evaluation of the project plan, the business and technical environment in which the project is being developed, and other reliable information sources. Okay, that is say like unrealistic delivery, that right? So this may be under this category, that is a non-risk. And predictable risk also there, that is those risks that are say the extrapolated, okay, from the past project experience. Okay, from the past project experience, we have done some project, and if we already have some experience on that, so from that again we can extrapolate it, some of the risk, right? Okay, so those are predictable risk. And then unpredictable risk also there, that is those risks that can and do occur, but are extremely difficult to identify in advance. Right, so especially like some that new and very much customized software or any projects of not only the software only, okay, any projects. So we are talking about the project in any topic, customized project, and then say there may be some risk, okay, that can and do occur. It may be there, but we extremely do not know, okay, which is we even could not be identified, because in the first step we said that we said that it should be identified, not the risk should be identified, but there's no other means to identify that, so we did not include or we did not identify it at all because it was very much unpredictable. Okay, now the next topic, actually this is a very much next topic, that is a risk strategy. We are having two main strategies here, that is a reactive risk and one is the proactive risk. Okay, let's see about these two briefly. Reactive risk strategy, what it does. Okay, this strategy is a response-based risk management approach, okay, which is dependent on the accident evaluation and the audit-based findings. So here the risk arrangement here is that monitor the project for likely risk. Okay, in this strategy we do that, we do monitor the project for likely risk. Okay, resources are set aside to deal with the risk when they become actual problem. Then software team does nothing about risk until something really goes wrong. Okay, then the team attempts to correct the problem. This is often called we know that this is like firefighting mode. We say until and unless something goes wrong, the team doesn't do anything. Okay, so when teams fails to solve the problem, then crisis management takes over and the project is in real jeopardy. Okay, so this is very, very horrible. It's not very encouraging type of the strategy, because but the crisis management is the only choice of this management technique. Crisis management, that means, see, every team members they rely on that the crisis management. Okay, because only when something goes wrong only, okay, then only that they try to attempt the correct the problem. Okay, they attempt to correct the problem only, otherwise then they don't bother anything. Okay, this is not very encouraging, especially for the bigger one. Okay, let's see about the next second strategy, that is proactive risk strategy. Okay, this is adaptive and closed loop feedback control strategy. Definitely we are expecting something good, that is this is a closed loop feedback control strategy based on the measurement, observation of the present safety level and plan explicit target safety. Okay, so we planned it first, that means we already planned that explicit target safety level with a creative, okay, intellectuality. So we, in this strategy, how we it works, okay, what are the advantages, we'll see it here. It is more better than the reactive, first of all, and it begins, okay, long before the technical work is initiated. Okay, so that is because of that loop feedback. No, we are getting it from the feedback. So it's really like before the work is initiated, we already plan it. Okay, and then potential risks are identified and their probability and impact are assessed and ranked by importance. Okay, that means whatever that in the paradigms, what we have to do is that everything is followed here. Okay, and then software team establish a plan for managing the risk. So software team does not wait for that something goes wrong. No, in the previous one we said that the team, until and unless something goes wrong, team doesn't do anything, right? But in this case, software team establishes a plan for managing the risk. First of all, not only identify the risk, they already plan for managing the risk. Okay, then as all the risk cannot be avoided, it is right, as all the risk cannot be avoided, the team workers to develop a contingency plan. Okay, it's like a backup plan only. They will enable it to respond in a control and effective manner. It is not possible at 100% risk free is not possible. Okay, that's why we should have a backup plan. Right, then next to then say step for the risk management are also followed here. We already defined it, what are the risks of the risk management earlier in this slide. So all those steps are followed in the proactive strategy, and primary objective is to avoid the risk and to have a contingency plan in place to handle the unavoidable risk in a controlled and effective manner. Yeah, that means it is much better than the reactive one, isn't it? In the reactive, we do only when something goes wrong and crisis teams take over the risk. Right, here we already followed the risk management steps. So everything's a well management plan is there, and then at the same time being risk free is not possible. When what risk happen, then we already plan for the contingency also. Okay, backup plan is already been there. And now you can see what are the main differences here between the reactive and proactive risk strategies. Okay, so the purpose is different, the time frame and flexibility. So we can leave it for the study this part, and I am giving you one more class assignment here. This you have to do it during this class. Okay.